Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. Having my final cup of tea with you guys here today. And wanted to have just a general conversation of what's going on in the area and general preparedness talk. Now, the election is passed, and there was a lot of anxiety in our area from the people that I talked to over the election. Well, now that's all sort of faded into the woodwork, and things have kind of settled back down into a normal pace, I would call it. But there are some, concerning things that I have seen here, and I have been seeing these things all summer long, and as we go into the fall here, they have, I guess, continued to pick up steam is the best way that I can put it. Now, being a student of the old timers and just my own personal experience as a kid growing up, when the stock market crashed in 1987, the economy here in Michigan went to crap. And it was like that when I got out of school. I was out looking for a job. When I got out of school in the late 80s, early 90s, and I was looking for employment, you had to literally beg somebody for a job. I mean, it was that bad. And then, at the time, minimum wage was like $3.85 an hour. It was... prices were a lot cheaper, but, you worked hard for your money back then. If you showed up for work and you didn't meet the expectation of the employer, you were out the door. They didn't coddle people like they do now. And a lot of things that I am seeing right now, I have seen before past recessions, I guess is the best way to put it. I did work in the car industry for a few years, and if anything teaches you about the warning signs for a recession, working in the car industry, whether it's the big three or it's one of the auto makers, parts suppliers, that kind of stuff, or any of the subcontractors that supply those industries, if anything teaches you about the signs for coming recession, I talked to the old timers that worked in the factory when I was working there, what those signs were, what you look for or whatever. Man, there were people there that could remember recessions back, 30 years before I was born, and remember back the war years and everything. And these guys were sharp and cynical when it came to that kind of stuff. And, well, things have changed to a certain extent. Now I'm becoming the old timer that's sharp and cynical when it comes to this stuff. And a lot of the things that I do, I weigh on the scale of preparedness. I don't know how else to put it. If I got a little cash, I'm like, okay, should I save this cash here because something's, going to go down? Or, this repair needs to be done, like the roof on our house. Does this stuff need to be done because the price of this is only going to go up because of the inflation that we're having right now? So how do I weigh these, options to do what's best for me? And, there are no answers. There are no solid answers. Everybody's got a different situation. And, you do the best you can with the information that you have. And, I had the roof replaced on the house. I didn't think it could go anymore. I thought it was to the point where it was going to, start causing more issues down the road. But believe you me, I milked every penny out of that roof that was on there that I could. There were things that needed to be patched. I patched them and I let that go and I watched and I waited and, but it just got to a point where I knew that something serious was going to happen and I had to do something. So then that money in the bank wasn't doing me any good, but I needed a roof, That was a big thing with the old timers growing up. You always want to have a full pantry and you always want to have a solid roof over your head. So again, I'm weighing my own past experiences plus what I learned from the old timers and what I watched from the old timers. Some of the things that I have been seeing, I've been seeing all summer long, is housing sales around me have more or less stalled. There still are a couple of houses selling here and there, but there are houses in my local area that have had for sale signs on all summer long and now all fall, and they have there's no inclination that they're selling. They got, price reduced signs across the top of them and stuff. And it's not just my community, it's other communities too that I've driven through. Housing, people aren't bidding on houses now. Houses are getting appraised for $1 amount, and then of course the ones that are selling for a lot less than that. So that's never a good sign right there. Another thing that I've noticed just with my job, the fervor of contractors. Of course, it's going into fall now, and there's, seasonal swings in those type of markets and stuff, but most of the contractors are basically saying that things have slowed down. And, out a couple of months, a lot of their books where they schedule stuff in, that stuff is starting to thin out considerably, if non-existent. So those are indicators. And then the biggest one, and I just heard this one here this week, and it was some of the local parts suppliers are warehousing parts. That is never a good sign when it comes to the auto industry. When parts suppliers, the big three, that kind of stuff, when they start warehousing parts, that means they're batting down the hatches for a recession. Because what happens is they warehouse as many parts as they can, then they don't need the labor. The labor can go bye-bye. They can just keep a few people to ship the parts out, keep the big three going in the just-in-time delivery system, and that's how it goes. And that was always a precursor to a recession. And there's a lot of other things going on. It is a presidential election year. The old-timers at the factory always said presidential election years were the worst for recessions, especially when there was going to be a change in the administration. Well, there's going to be a change in the administration, so we'll see how things go. And I noticed on election day, day after election day, the stock market skyrocketed. And now, since then, it has been slowly coming back down to where it was. Again, most of the recessions that I have seen in my lifetime, 2008, 1987, the dot-com bubble, all those recessions started with some type of stock market correction. Stock market went down, and that's how it goes. And from there on, then, and what can happen in the stock market in a couple of days or a couple of weeks of that going down, that takes years for that recession to dissipate over the broader economy. This is just coming from a high school educated, hick from the sticks out here that just watches this stuff, kind of watches the patterns and whatnot. But those are the indicators. That's the stuff that I've been seeing. And, thought it was worth a conversation with you guys out there. Please feel free to share in the comments any recession type indicators that you're seeing in your area. And again, this is no time to be complacent in preparedness, because I think the most common thing that's going to happen is there's going to be some type of economic issues, problems, whatever. Recessions, I've been through a bunch of them already. Most of the people that are watching this right now have been through recessions lots of times, and they kind of know how to prepare for them. And then the other thing that always floats around the back of my mind is cyber attacks, some type of disruption in either banking, transportation, fuel or electricity distribution, the grid, water. Any one of these things has the potential for problems that these things could happen. And, I'm in a position now where if something happens, I'm going to stick around, help them close up shop where I work, and I'm going to walk home. If my truck starts, I'm going to drive my truck home. Then I'm going to just batten down the hatches here and just see how things transpire. And it's a good time to be in, of course, it's around the holidays too. It's a good time to be in contact with your groups. And when I say groups, everybody has kind of two different groups. They have their friends, acquaintances, coworkers, and then you have your real close group, and that's your friends, your close neighbors, your close friends. Those are sort of, everybody has some variation of those two groups. Now is the time to be having conversations with those guys. What are you seeing? Anything going on in your neck of the woods? Now, I don't talk to everybody every day, but I try to make a concerted effort to talk to most people every other day. And like the the friends and acquaintances, coworkers, that kind of stuff, whenever the opportunity presents itself. Again, that's feeding you intel of what's going on in your local area, things that could affect you a lot more than something that's happening on the other side of the world. I'm big on that local aspect of it. Find sources for stuff local. Get in touch with your local people. These are the things that I weigh on the scales of preparedness, and wanted to share those things with you guys here. Hopefully you guys can get some information, some things to think about. What I'm seeing here, you guys can factor that into your decision-making processes. But anyway, this is Modern Refugee. I appreciate all my subscribers out there. I hope you guys get a little information, a little entertainment out of my videos here in these times. And again, don't be complacent. It's November. Things are on sale at the grocery store for holiday dinners and stuff. It's a good time to pick up non-perishable stuff, get that stocked up, get yourself ready for winter. Whether we have a hard winter or not, that's still yet to be determined around us here. Things have been fairly mild, but that cannot change on a dime. Have yourself squared away if something goes down. But anyway, I appreciate all you guys out there. You guys take care as always.